Bye to 2024. I'd say good riddance to 2024, but 2025 is likely to be worse. Hi there. Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to my kitchen here on this New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2024. And it is 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So here on the East Coast, we have 2 hours to go before the new year. Oh, thank goodness. I know it's been quite a year for everyone. And well, we can only see what next year is going to be like. I've got some not so good feelings about how the next year is going to go, but that's a discussion for another time. For tonight, we are just here to have some fun and relax. I'm here and really just that to spend my evening. Well, again, doing what I like doing, which is cooking while the clock counts down to midnight. And thank you very much to everybody who has been kind enough to show up here tonight. I mean, I understand, of course, a lot of people are out doing their thing on New Year's Eve, whether it's actually going out, clubbing, having friends over, spending time with the ones closest to you, or anything like that. Or maybe you're just relaxing and wasting time and watching the usual Twilight Zone marathon or Three Stooges marathon, all of which is just fine. But yes, let me see. Looks like we got something, some kind of spam or another here. But yes, hello to everybody who is here. Hello to Corey and Rocket Caver and RT Scott and Granny Graham to be determined. Hello to Val's Black Cat's Rules and hello to Honey Badger. Drinking wine and cooking. Well, that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. May not be drinking wine, but I'm certainly going to be cooking with it because, yes, indeed, we are doing well. This is not the first time I've done this on New Year's. About 3 years ago, I had a lot of fun preparing Julia Child's coq au vin here on New Year's Eve, and I thought might as well repeat it because it has been 3 years. A lot's happened since then, and that gives me an excuse anyway to break out a nice big bottle of wine. I went looking for cheap wine here, a Pinot Noir, of course, to go with this. And for $9, this was the smallest one they had. This must be like a double-sized bottle of wine. I'm not going to use the whole thing, I don't think, but we will see what happens here. So yes, thank you everybody, and yeah, and how is everybody? Sound is working. Was there a problem with the sound? Okay, just making sure everything is doing. Oh, Mike, hi, I am Mike. Mike. Oh, okay, yeah. No, it's not a problem with the sound, I guess. Hello, Mike from Canmore. Nice to see you here. Always nice to see a new face here on this channel. And thank you very much for stopping by. My wine never has a cork unless someone else is buying. Yes. Last week I used the cheap stuff. This time is still the cheap stuff, although I think this one might actually have a cork in it. All right. But well, yeah, we've got a good couple of hours to kill, and so we might as well kill it by playing around with some cast iron. Here is the lid for the new USA enamel Dutch oven that we're going to be using tonight. And let's move over here to the stove carefully and take a look once again at the large cast iron USA enamel Dutch oven. Going to be my second time cooking with this. After the first time, it was a cinch really to clean this thing off so that it still looks brand new here. I better move the microphone a little bit closer here so that so that nothing is missed. Especially since we're going to be playing with fire again tonight. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, loving the Dutch oven. Yes, well, so far, so am I. As I said, this is only going to be my second time cooking in this, but I certainly hope I'm getting a lot of use out of this, too. So, and then the other one, although I'm only going to be using one of these tonight. I'm going to have to be finding excuses to use that second Dutch oven, that's for sure. Okay, Fuzz Fork 8. All I'd like to say is, please, no politics tonight. I mean, even though politics is a lot of the reason why I feel very apprehensive and quite frankly afraid of what's going to be coming over in the next year. Let's simply stick to the subject tonight. I know in 2024 in particular, I did indeed go off the rails on politics, but I'm doing my best to rein it in, and for good reason. If I let it out, I think I would probably be foaming at the mouth. But nonetheless, okay, let's get on. Yeah, instead of that, let's actually have some fun here, because as always, we're going to start this off with bacon. Because yes, I am using Julia Child's recipe. This is the first one I tried when I tried cocoa bean for the first time, and I definitely fell in love with it. I really enjoyed the results, and so as a result, I've adapted her recipe and put it on my own website, and I do have a link to it here in my here on my web page. And the link to this recipe for cocoa bean is here at the beginning of this the description of this video as well. And yes, I apologize for the outburst there regarding politics, but I am really burned out on politics as a result of what's happened in 2024. And no, it's not just because my guy or my candidate lost. There's a lot more to it, but like I said, I'm not going to get into that. Okay, what I am going to get to is, yeah, it's interesting how we've got some, I wouldn't call it staining, but we've got some residue already here on this enamel. Fortunately, I'm not worried at all about that. This is coming off without any problem, and we will be getting some liquid into this pan very shortly. First step, though, as our dear friend Julia says, is we want to render out this bacon so that we can have some fat to actually prepare the chicken. And that really just means, well, just that. Bringing in the bacon. And besides, this residue here does not seem like it is really sticking very much to the pot. So I have no doubt at all that it is going to come off with no trouble. All right. Anyway, that is fun. Pure flavor. Yes, exactly. And that's what, and certainly I'm going to be doing my best to mix this in. I think I'd better get my glove, though, to hold the handle here for this. I can already smell the bacon. And while this is genuine bacon, it's not like turkey bacon or anything like that. And it does look like there is a fair amount of fat on this, so let's just hope it does render out enough to the point where we will be able to properly sear this chicken. Well, if not, well, we can always add a little bit more cooking oil. Other than that, I like to lightly lube my enamel before starting. Yes, well, again, this is how I could have thrown in a little bit of oil, and maybe I should anyway, nonetheless. So let me quickly dig it out a little bit. I've been working my way through a big container of canola oil, and we're only going to be using a little anyway. That's probably enough. Between that and the bacon fat, there's definitely now going to be enough proper grease in the pan to actually prepare the chicken. Freeloaders have to get... Okay, I'm not saying anything, Corey Clark. There will be another time and another place for a discussion of politics, and so as such, I will keep this nice and quiet. Otherwise, I might be tempted to say something. Okay. Having said all that, let's get on with this bacon here. And yes, this is again Julia Child's recipe. I think everybody who gets into cooking at some point or another seems to have an urge to try one of Julia's recipes. Maybe just because, she was an icon during her time, and her name is still well known even several years after she passed on. And hopefully, Julia will be with us through her recipes for quite a long time. Coq au vin, in fact, was one of her signature dishes. And I learned, quite frankly, that it's a pretty basic recipe here. As I said, this is essentially going to be chicken stewed in wine. And for that matter, it's very similar to beef or beef bourguignon, which is chicken stewed in Burgundy. So there's really not much difference between the two. I would say, though, that this bacon is indeed starting to render at this point. Okay, how easy did the lodge clean up? Oh, it cleaned up very, very easily. I had no difficulty at all, and all I had to do was use one of these sponges with the green scrubby here. This is not a heavy-duty green scrubby either, but it did a great job cleaning up this pan or this pot, and that I suspect that's probably all I'll need to clean this up after tonight. Even though that is one thing about coq au vin, and or making with wine, I guess it produces a very thick and very sticky residue afterwards. But we will see what happens then. Right now, we are treating ourselves to the sight of bacon. And yes, indeed, this spawn is coming off easily. And yes, of course, I'm using a wooden spatula naturally. I mean, especially considering how expensive or how valuable this Dutch oven is, I'm certainly going to make sure that metal never touches this particular pan. I know what they talk about, about only using wooden utensils in bare cast iron, which is absolutely not necessary. You can scrape and scratch away at your bare cast iron all you like. The worst you could do would be to maybe scratch the seasoning, and that will always fill in again as you continue to cook. All right. Where is the boat oar? Fortunately, this size boat oar is all I need, although I've found, I mean, it's getting harder really to find a nice thick wooden spatula. I mean, the companies are just getting too cheap. Just about all of the wooden spatulas I see in the stores are all these little flimsy things that look like they're made of plywood. So I was happy to come across this one. Eventually, this one will probably crack as well, and I will then have to simply look for another, which is another reason why I like these wooden utensils, because they are disposable. They do last a long time. I've had this for at least a year or more, but they're also not too hard to replace. All right. My kitty blocked out our friends some. I'm not sure. Oh, I'm not sure what we're seeing here. Likes the Pioneer wooden. Okay, Fuzzy likes the Pioneer women's spatula. Well, I'm pretty sure I've seen that one probably for sale at Walmart, because at least for a while they were selling a lot of Pioneer woman stuff. And I do believe we may be getting close to the point where I think this bacon is properly rendered. I mean, I could keep going until it becomes really crispy, but I'm not sure if we need to do that, because after all, we are going to be braising this afterwards. So, two things I'm going to do. I'm actually going to turn up the heat a little bit, because we're going to be adding chicken to this. And let's get out that metal dish and try to reserve this bacon as best as we can. Oops, sorry about that. I think I bumped the mic. And of course, I want to keep as much of the oil or grease in the pan as we can. There we go. Even though this is a combination of bacon fat and canola oil, it seems to be mixing together well. I've seen some instances where two types of oil just don't seem to match. It looks like there's no difficulty here. And so that takes care of step one. Now the fun begins. That is where we add the chicken. Moments like this are why I'm glad I got a nice big Dutch oven. Even so, it looks like we have just barely enough here. I watched a young Italian lady with cleavage until she ran off with some guy. Are we talking about cooking, a YouTube cooking channel, or some other kind of channel, I wonder? All right, too many burn bits for my taste. Oh, no, those are not burn bits, not to worry there. And besides, if you want to worry about burn bits, well, wait till you see what's going to be happening in just a couple of minutes here. Right now, I'm just more interested in getting some browning here onto this chicken, at least as best as we can. Made rice fluffed and it was perfect. Well, nice. Okay, well, I'm glad. Yeah, I always like to hear when a batch of rice turns out good. I like all my bamboo treeware. Okay, got it when it was still thick enough. Oh, exactly. Yes. Oh, cooking channel. Yes, there are a couple of cooking channels out there starring ladies who, shall we say, do like to show the cleavage off as well. And well, hey, they can do that if they want. I mean, it certainly attracts the viewers. There's no denying that. I can reassure everybody I'm not going to show off my cleavage because somehow I get the feeling folks here might be driven away if I were to do that. Over bit by bit. Hi, Happy New Year, Mark Sieber. Yes, hello, and nice to see you here. Corey Clark, I found a vintage number 12 8-quart Lodge Dutch oven. Nice. You'll certainly be getting a lot of use out of that, I have no doubt. Which does remind me, I'm going to have to find a good excuse again to use my number 12 BS&R Dutch oven. Seeing as how I used to make Boston baked beans each time the New England Patriots went to the Super Bowl, well, doesn't seem like that's going to be happening again at any time soon. So I'm going to have to find some other excuse to use that big Dutch oven. No more worries about cleavage in my case. Yeah. That's all right. Besides, it's New Year's Eve. Not a bad time to show off cleavage. Just not on this channel. Because again, I'm sure folks here would not be interested in seeing my cleavage. However, at this point, actually, I better just let it sit and rest a couple of minutes before we go on to the next step. There's a British gal I watch that has a cooking channel. I have no idea what she's cooked in any of the entire season I watch. Sounds interesting. I have to say, the British gal I watch is definitely not that kind of a British YouTube gal. One I can think of is Titley's Busy Kitchen, which is pretty funny. And recently, Titley has kind of come out of retirement, sort of, in that she pretty much just that retired on her YouTube channel, but she started posting videos again, which is nice. Everybody is, of course, free to handle their YouTube channels at their own pace. I mean, after all, while YouTube does pay for it. I mean, we are just watching it for free. I picked up a number 8 small block logo Griswold today for $10 off of Marketplace. Nice. You've definitely got something that'll last the rest of your life. And yes, it does show that there are still cast iron bargains that can be found out there, although it does require some searching, especially these days. All right. Now that we've gotten this far, let me just double check, make sure I haven't missed anything. That means you got to take a look at the recipe here. Chicken brown, frequently. All right. That means now comes the fun part. You know what the really fun thing is about Julia Child's coq au vin? Namely, we get to set it on fire. So that means we are going to do a little bit of flambé here. Considering that I had a fire in my oven unintentionally a couple of weeks ago, I'm kind of like getting up the nerve to do this. But I suppose there's no time like the present. There we are. Actually, that turned out pretty good. It doesn't seem like it's out of control. Happy New Year, everybody. Let's have some fire. The thing I learned about doing a flambé is you need an alcohol that's at least 80 proof, which is why they recommend like brandy or cognac. Cognac is expensive, which is why I usually use brandy for my flambé. I watched Anti-Chef make Julia's coq au vin. He browned the chicken a lot more. Yes. I have to say, browning my chicken is something I still have I still need to practice even after all this time. Although doing the flambé certainly does help. I will say that too. Oh yeah, I remember two fat ladies. Barely, but I do remember them. Yes. Hello, Huggy Bear, and Happy New Year. All right. And so far, so good. It looks like the last of the flame is just burning off right about now. There are still a couple of little bits of flame in there, even now. So this actually has lasted quite a while. However, I think we can continue. And that means now we add in some salt. Whoa, heck, that was interesting. Some black pepper. Well, I will say part of the difficulty with browning the chicken is, unfortunately, it does look like there is a little bit of liquid in this pan, which kind of does prevent the browning. Although I'm glad I was able to get the fire to work out okay. Turn this over a little bit. I understand there's a debate on whether actually the flambé does anything. What it's supposed to do actually is kind of like cause the skin and the of the chicken to kind of like tighten up. Though I'm not really sure if it has any kind of an effect. Although if nothing else, it does give a nice special effect for you to impress your guests with. There we go. After the salt and pepper, and here's the part where we throw in a bay leaf. Still can't get over how big some of these bay leaves are. And some thyme. And because it's New Year's Eve, we definitely have plenty of time on our hands. But I'm not going to overdo it. Thyme is very strong anyway. And after that, all right, here is the part where, okay, now we have to start covering it. All right, good. So now's the part where we start adding onions. And here's where I kind of like diverged from Julia's recipe because she calls for pearl onions, baby onions. And while they are good, I am currently swimming in onions here. In fact, I've got to do something like make myself some French onion soup soon enough. And now that we've gone this far, let me check one other thing here, make sure I'm not missing anything. Place onions, okay, butter, okay, good. So now at this point, we cover it for a few minutes to help it cook. With the lid. Huggy Bear, what are we having for dinner? We are having coq au vin, the famous recipe of chicken stewed in wine. And I'm using Julia Child's recipe, adapted very slightly for my own webpage. And thanks, Honey Badger. You will be live tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Nice. I am still going to be doing my cast iron Wednesday video tomorrow night as well. I'm not sure at this point if I'm going to try to do the the first of the month cast iron Q&A session, or if we might actually do some cooking for New Year's Day. Not sure yet. Made deep dish New Year's kraut in my lodge deep skillet. Well, that all sounds good. Kielbasa and kraut. I like creamed pearl onions and peas. Excuse me. I had a homemade In-N-Out burger with animal fries. Well, that all sounds good as well. I made a meatloaf. and there's certainly nothing wrong with any of that because, yeah, that's the other thing about meatloaf. Meatloaf has such a poor reputation, which is unfair because when meatloaf is made well, it is wonderful. What else can we say about that? I'm making bratwurst with sauerkraut tomorrow on top of mashed potatoes. All of this really is definitely making me hungry, and so at this moment I'm glad I'm actually cooking something. Oh yes, yes, and well, thank you very much, Greg Hart. Yeah, I'm right now at this moment. I've only had this for a little more than a week, and yes, I'm quite happy to have this large Dutch oven as well. I mean, besides the fact that it is definitely very photogenic, I like that it's large. It has a lot of room, and supposedly the enamel is, it has like 3 coats of enamel on it, which means it should last for a long time. It would be nice if it lasted the rest of my life, but, well, I guess I'll find out, won't we? And what was this one? Oh, yes, that's right. Onion soup would be a good option for using some onions. Beef and those. Oh, yes. And those ramekins, which indeed, I did use those for making French onion soup last time as well. Okay. Oh, I see. Honey Badger. Yeah, you'll be live Thursday. Yeah, I know. It does. These holidays in the middle of the week certainly do get everybody all mixed up, don't they? Of course, Christmas was on a Wednesday, and likewise, the New Year's Day tomorrow is going to be on a Wednesday, and then we go back to work. And then next year, even though that's a year from now, Christmas is going to be on a Thursday, and likewise, New Year's Day will be on a Thursday. And somebody is shooting off fireworks in my neighborhood. Well, I guess that's not too surprising. Let me check on dear Miss Mobley. And I think Miss Mobley might be hiding already. Well, at least she's inside. Tomorrow is Sweet Potato Day. Tomorrow is also the day for many people to prepare their Hoppin' John. That is, of course, the old black-eyed peas and ham hocks and collard greens. I'm on the East Coast and about 1,000 miles from the nearest In-N-Out, but I like their food. Yeah, I've never been to an In-N-Out myself either here. In that I grew up in Massachusetts, moved here to New York. Yep, somebody's definitely shooting off fireworks. I moved to New York 2 years ago, and I have not seen an In-N-Out here in New York. Although, interestingly, just tonight I did see that they're building a Five Guys in my area. Five Guys, though, is awfully expensive. And then again, most of those chain restaurants are really expensive these days, too. So I'm not sure if it would be worth it anymore to go to Five Guys. Cynthia makes the best meatloaf and fatty meats. I'm in Massachusetts. Yes, I'm a former New Englander myself. What am I seeing here on this? I'm seeing, oh, I see. This must be moist. Yeah, this is definitely moisture. There's condensation. Some is escaping the pot here, and it's actually dripping down. Look here. That means I better turn this down a little bit. All right. Five Guys is good, but way overpriced. Yes, it is. I first ate at Five Guys maybe just as they were beginning to go mainstream, and yeah, they were darn good. That's for sure. Um, but now, of course, well, again, I suppose the best we could do is try to imitate Five Guys and make a Five Guys burger in our cast iron, which really is not that hard. Honey Badger, I do have an unboxing video I need to do so I can cook with what my new favorite daughter got me for Christmas. Oh, do tell. Let us know what you got for Christmas, unless it's going to be a secret. Five Guys is absolutely ridiculous. I got an order of fries to go and they charged me $6. Yeah, there is that. On the other hand, Five Guys is not the only one who charges $6 for fries these days, I'm sorry to say. But it is things like that, yes, that is certainly encouraging us to do a lot more home cooking. And that at least is a good thing. I can't afford to even eat at McDonald's. Oh, yeah, I know that all too well. Um, Family that I have really gotten close to, especially this year in 2024, I think I mentioned that. They have teenagers. And you know what those teenagers still love to eat at? McDonald's. So yes, I've been actually getting them McDonald's quite often, largely because, well, like teenagers, they're pretty fussy eaters. So yes, and yet, even so, when I'm by myself, I have still had very little incentive to go to McDonald's or pretty much any other place myself. If I do have the urge to eat, I will definitely eat local. And then again, I am, of course, in Binghamton, New York, home of the Speedy. So there's another reason to eat local. Those Five Guys are good though. Well, yeah, there is that too. All right. At this point, I think we can probably remove the lid once again. Don't want to drop it. Get the moisture off of this. And at this point, now that we're here, let me see. Season, cook onions, cook about 5 minutes. Turn over the chicken and cook another 5 minutes. That kind of explains that. So we're not done yet. Turn over the chicken and cook another 5 minutes. It is true that with this recipe, we do actually have to cover and uncover the pot several times. However, shortly after this, we are actually going to go with the wine. I mean, there really aren't that many more steps in this recipe. Now, the lid goes back on one more time. What's in the Magnolite? Well, the Magnolite will be used a little later in that coq au vin is often served over egg noodles, and that's what I'm going to be doing there. I'm just going to boil up some egg noodles in the Magnolite to just that, for serving the coq au vin. And I think do believe this Dutch oven has moved a little bit. Let's reposition it. There we go. I don't go to McDonald's, nor do I go to Walmart. How's the fruitcake doing? Is it gone? Yeah, the fruitcake this year, as folks may know, turned out to be something of a disaster, unfortunately. The one that I would normally ferment up until this time that was the one where my oven caught on fire earlier in December. And so the fruitcake was definitely ruined. I did make up for it by making an instant fruitcake. The recipe, I have that on my website under magical fruitcake. That's the one that you can eat right away, and you don't have to age it. So yeah, that fruitcake was definitely something, an adventure. And all I can say is I'm going to have to try again next year. And we will go from there. I gave up cooking corned beef. It always comes out stringy. What am I doing wrong? Okay, oh yeah, actually, I can help you with that, Leslie. I love making corned beef. I every year for St. Patrick's Day, I make a project out of making my own homemade corned beef. But even if you don't, there's a simple answer to that. What you want to do is slow cook your corned beef in a cast iron Dutch oven. Gee, what a surprise! But I mean, if you slow cook your corned beef for several hours, it will not come out stringy. And and as far as corned beef is concerned, there are two kinds of corned beef. There's the point, which is the cheaper stuff, the one that can be more stringy, and the flat. But if you the flat cut. But again, if you slow cook the corned beef, then it really doesn't even matter. I just use the point for precisely that reason. And so my corned beef comes out, it practically falling apart. And so I never have a problem with it being stringy. That is my suggestion regarding corned beef. And yet again, I have a recipe on my website. If you want to take a look at that, and you at least for a couple of pointers. Buzzfork. I recently watched a guy spend $13,000 on cast iron at an auction to clean up and resell. Woo! Well, I certainly hope he gets his money back. I mean, I know cast iron certainly has gone through a renaissance over the past decade or more. I mean, we've already noted that. So it's entirely possible that he may very well make a profit from that. My sister-in-law gifted me a fruitcake she makes. So good. Yeah, that is the thing, that homemade fruitcake is definitely the way to go, regardless of what recipe you're using. I mean, that really definitely kicks butt over store-bought fruitcake. I have no arguments there. All right. Let me see. At this point, uncover the pan. Okay, now is the part where we add some. Okay, cover it. What again? Okay. So now at this point, it's time to uncover the pan again. And again, I want to be careful with this moisture as well as with this lid. And now from here, we are going to sprinkle on some flour. I think, yeah, this is definitely to help thicken the liquid here, because there does seem to be quite a bit of liquid in here, as well as some butter. Because Julia, of course, naturally she would use butter. Well, let's see if we can't spread it around a little bit. Maybe not. All right, I guess we'll have to just leave it as is. Okay, now at this point, we are supposed to turn the chicken and onion so the flour is absorbed, and then cover the pot once again for about 3 or 4 more minutes. But then after that, after that will come the wine. So we're supposed to turn over the chicken again. So that the flour is absorbed, as they say. And yeah, actually, I do believe it is already thickening the sauce here. So yeah, I guess that flour was definitely the right thing to do here. There's a lot less liquid, and especially mixing in with butter, this is actually becoming more of a thick sauce. So yay, yay, Julia! You definitely knew what you were doing. At this point, we cover it one more time. And then the next time we uncover it, Then will come the wine. Carefully, there we go. You cook it with butter. Next time I'll try that and maybe try buying the corned beef from a better grocery store. I would still recommend if you want to take the time to make your corned beef because it's actually not that hard. In that all you really need to do is put together a brine, much the same way you brine your Thanksgiving turkey. And then not only you could get simply brisket from the store and make a corned beef using that way, but you don't even have to use brisket for making corned beef. That's the other thing. If you say your corned beef turns out too stringy, consider this. Use a recipe for making homemade corned beef, and you don't even have to use brisket. A couple of years ago, back during the pandemic, when there was a meat shortage, I simply used chuck roast and corned it and used the recipe for to brine the corned beef, and it turned out great. So that might be something to consider as well. Hi, K Clock, and yes, nice to see you. What's shoe fly pie? Yet another thing that I have to try making. That's what it is. Thunderstorms here in New York tonight. Well, not here at least, in mid-state New York. Shoe fly pie is a molasses pie, and that definitely sounds like something I might want to consider trying for precisely that reason. He's full of himself. Okay. I'll see. Okay, I'm curious what we are looking what is happening there. Want to be sure that we're not having any arguments here. Cynthia. Okay. All right. Anyway, my grandma's Irish as the Clancy brothers, and ours always came out of a bag from the store. Love the taste of molasses. Yeah, I think I had a shoe fly pie during one of my trips down south. Although because I've gone on so many of them, it's a little hard to remember exactly which one. I think that might have been the one when I went to um, Harrisburg, I believe. Nonetheless, we are getting on in time here. I mean, after all, it is now almost quarter of 11. So, hey, we are finally starting to get down towards the last hour before the new year, at least here on the East Coast. I know for you folks in the West Coast, it's only like a quarter of 8 in the evening. But even so, the evening is starting to move along. So, best I could say to everybody is have some fun. Happy New Year's, everybody. Late joining tonight. Not to worry. N Coyote 102. We have plenty of time. My intention is to at least get close to the new year on this little live video tonight. Last time I did this, as I mentioned, was 3 years ago. And what I remember was we actually ended this live video about 10 minutes before midnight. And the reason why is so that everybody could go and do their own thing, celebrate the new year the way you want to, without being forced to all just be, here on this channel. But we can always see what happens. So, thanks for the corned beef tips. I appreciate it. And we'll give it another go. Well, yeah, I do hope you like it, Leslie. I love corned beef on St. Patrick's Day and really at any other time of the year. I've made corned beef hash quite a few times all throughout the year, and I will really recommend it. Everybody, give it a try. Spell that wrong. Shoe fly pie, real pie Dutch thing. Talking smack, somebody called him out on his prices, and he did a short showing the load he claimed to be going to ship out until they were empty boxes. Are you referring to a cast iron seller, I wonder, Cynthia? I mean, it's not necessary to name names, but it kind of sounds like this. You might be talking about cast iron there. I mean, I know there has been some drama in the cast iron community in regards to sellers, most of which I try to stay out of, largely because, well, I'm not an obsessive buyer of cast iron. Despite my collection, I really don't buy that much cast iron anymore, largely because my cast iron has reached this point. I'm planning beef tagine for tomorrow, New Year's. That sounds good. It's nice to have ham and turkey with my family for Christmas. All right. At this point, I do believe we are at the right point because it does look like some more of the liquid has been released by the chicken. So I would have to say, let's move this over more towards the center here. Because now that we've gotten this far, turn the heat down to medium low till the chicken is almost covered. Okay, enough to bring the liquid to a simmer. All right, now that we've done this, time to break out the wine. Just gonna turn the heat down to medium low. Okay. So yeah, we get to turn the heat down a little bit. That means let's move the camera over this way, just so that if something happens as I am preparing the wine, you folks will be able to witness it. Let me make sure I don't pull this cord, though. Sorry about the roller coaster ride. There we go. Yeah, that's hot for starters. But let's see whether or not there's a cork in this, because I fully admit this is a cheap bottle of wine. I like cooking with cheap wine. I've had good luck with it. Although I'm a little confused as to how I'm supposed to open this bottle, as I don't seem to see a seam. Oh, wait a second. I think I got something. There we are. There it is. Let me move this up a little bit. All right. And there is a cork. I think it might be a rubber or plastic cork. So yeah, this is definitely a cheap bottle of wine. Nonetheless, yay for a corkscrew. Come on. All right. For starters, not even going down at this point. There we go. And away we go. I think it is a cork, though, to be fair. Cork. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone. Oh. All right, that means now we can head back again to the oven, or the stove top, I should say. Now is when we add the wine. Flip. Wow, we've gotten half this bottle in here. So that's definitely more than 3 cups. We're supposed to do it until the chicken is almost covered. And I'd say, this is definitely the right point, but let me show you again. As I said, I mean, the recipe calls for 3 cups of wine, but I think we've used more than that. There it is. Let me see. Now that we have put in the wine, bring the liquid to a simmer, add chicken broth. Okay, now here's the part where we put the bacon back in. Yay, bacon. And also some minced garlic. And yes, I cheated and I used the jarred stuff, although it looks like I've got to replenish this pretty soon. There we go. And also some tomato paste, which is, again, one of those ingredients that everybody seems to say No, you're not supposed to add that. I don't know why they always say that about tomato paste, but regardless of what it is, apparently you're not supposed to add it. Oh well, let's add it. Pardon me. Sorry about that. There we go. We've added the bacon, we've added some tomato paste and some garlic. Trying to mix it around as best as I can. And then from here, all right. Now at this point, we cover and simmer slowly for 13 minutes. Okay, so that means I don't touch it. I've got this habit of constantly stirring the food. Now we just wait for 30 minutes. It is now 10:51 p.m., which means from here we will not touch it until about 11:20 p.m. Remember, guys, to turn your calendar ahead 1 hour ahead at 2 a.m. Yeah, that's about right, Fuzzfork. Of course, we always do that on New Year's Day. Naturally. Well, people are shooting off fireworks, and I suppose what we probably should do, in fact, is leave out leave out our stocking so that Father Time can come in and fill them. Tomato paste is great to add depth of flavor. Oh yes. Yeah, and besides, yeah, coq vin, again, I fell in love with this recipe when I tried it for the first time, although I have yet to get it at a restaurant. In every instance, I have made it myself. And I don't want to sound like I'm bragging when I say that. But I mean, it is one of those things again, fell in love with. I mean, I grew up eating chicken all my life. Who doesn't? Um, and yet I had never really had this kind of a dish before. So it certainly caught me off guard, especially since maybe it's again because of the way Julia Child's recipe goes. The consistency of the dish is quite frankly amazing when it comes out. You'd expect this to be falling off the bone and just coming apart. And while it is actually not that, it is still tender and thoroughly cooked all the way down to the bone. In some instances, they call it purple chicken, and but apparently it's not cooked right if the chicken is just simply purple. It definitely dyes the chicken. If you look at the cover photo of the thumbnail of this particular video, for instance, you can see it does give the chicken a very different color to the point where it may not even look like chicken. It might look like something else. But it's definitely chicken. And that's one reason why I'm convinced that coq au vin was one of those so called peasant dishes from the Middle Ages. You know, the ones because number one, it intentionally uses dark meat on the chicken. It is actually meant really to be used with dark meat. And while you can make it with white meat and chicken breast, it was meant really just that for the tougher chickens that are that were not especially raised for for the rich to eat, or roosters or the like. Also, the fact that the finished presentation really does not look that appetizing, even when served over egg noodles, as I intend to do. It does not really look that great. However, the taste, when done right, is out of this world. And all of that is, again, a reason why I fell in love with this dish when I tried it for the first time. So, some great wineries like around the Finger Lakes you should try. Some mead also. All of which does sound good. Yes. It's been a while since I've had mead, that's for sure. I don't believe I will make it to 12 p.m. Well, Handsome Stone, I guess it depends on what time zone you're in, because for here on the East Coast, it's only a little more than an hour away. It's going to be a struggle for me too. I ate too much. Oh, well, there is that, Cynthia. New Year's Eve isn't the same without Dick Clark. I personally, and please don't take this the wrong way anyway, I never really was that excited about the silly Times Square ball dropping thing. It's like whenever I would watch the New Year's Eve celebrations on TV in Boston, I would have rathered that they showed more shots of Boston, especially since Boston is the home of First Night. Boston claims to be the city that made First Night a big deal. You know, that's the one where the whole city turns out for to have a huge outdoor festival the night of New Year's. And yet, even in Boston, the news shows and the local TV always switches from Boston to New York and Times Square and that ball dropping. I've never been to Times Square live in New York City for the ball dropping, and I don't want to because, oh man, there are tens of thousands of people all crammed into that place. I mean, you can barely move, and that's not really the way I would want to celebrate New Year's, but that's just me. So. I love New Year with the Boston Pops. New Year's Eve is so anticlimactic. Yeah, I guess you could say that, Gary Dodson. And frankly, for me, in terms of having fun and excitement and great things happening on New Year's Eve, more times than I would like to think, my New Year's Eve has not really been that great. Sometimes for personal reasons. I've had some drama sometimes on New Year's Eve. Sometimes other things have happened. Sometimes New Year's Eve has been great, and it's really great when that happens. But quite often for me, it has not been so great, which is one reason why I find it really pleasurable or fun, I should say, to just go here onto YouTube Live and do some cooking with all you folks, all you folks who are my friends. I am not forcing anybody to stay here all the way until midnight. And really, if you just want to go to bed, go to bed. I'm not stopping you. There are some people who do go to bed and just simply set their alarm clock for like about 10 minutes before midnight so that they can go up, so that they can wake up, say, Yay, Happy New Year, and kiss, and then go back to bed. All of which is perfectly fine. I am getting to that age myself where I certainly understand it. Can't believe they're going to open it up to run again. New Year's Eve. Okay, it sounds like a race of some kind. You have to wear diapers because there's no bathrooms. Oh yeah, you're talking about Times Square, waiting for the 3 mile nuclear reactor drop. Oh, are you saying that they're going to be opening up 3 Mile Island? Really? After all these decades? That might be interesting. I've only celebrated New Year's a handful of times. I didn't get the thrill. There is. I can say there is something special about that. Just watching the clock change and knowing that, yay, the year is over and we're supposed to be able to start fresh or start anew. There is indeed something to that. But I don't know. Maybe because again, we here, especially here, right here in this YouTube channel tonight, most of us are well, we are older. There's no denying that. We're at the age where we've had a lot of experience. We've seen quite a few New Years, maybe more than we should. But yes, so we are all quite familiar with that. And when you're younger, I do realize it's probably a lot more exciting for that reason. But still, hey, at least we get the day off from work. At least some of us do. I have the day off from work tomorrow. And so I'm going to be going yet again to visit my friends where we're going to hang out and chill and have some fun. Probably do some cooking. And we will see how that all turns out. And yes, as I mentioned, I still plan on doing Cast Iron Wednesday tomorrow evening. Don't know yet if I will do the first of the month Q&A session or if I might actually do some cooking tomorrow evening. We'll work it out. It's only fun if you're with the right people. That is a great thing. Instead of a resolution, make a list of things to do for the new year. Technically, that's kind of like the same thing, but I like that plan. can't believe my electricity bill is so high when I'm a mile from the safe. From the reactors. Okay, I can hear the pot bubbling. I can turn it down to a simmer at this point. All right, I'm looking forward to a new year. Hopefully, some exciting iron scores. Yes, I did post a short video of some of the best scores that I made this year. I hope I don't sound like I'm bragging, although those are scores I am quite pleased to have found. Like the year, the dragon skillet, or that lodge, that really vintage and old lodge lid, or the or this, or the Dutch oven here. And I told my story last week how this turned out to be an incredible score, one that I'm certainly never going to forget. How I ended up, because I've cashed in some Bitcoin, I ended up paying only $50 out of my pocket and ended up with not one but two of these magnificent Dutch ovens. So yes, that's definitely a score, if I may say so. However, I shouldn't forget as well a couple of my number threes that I also scored this year. One of which was gifted to me. My friends, they actually got me in a number three cast iron skillet with my name engraved on it, and I was very flattered about that. And then it was earlier this year. Oh, I'm starting to yawn here. Then there was earlier this year when I scored a BSNR Pitty Pat's Porch advertising skillet. Folks who know about collecting BSNR know about Pitty Pat's Porch. And so, yeah, I was glad to be able to acquire one of those. And hey, if any of you folks here made a good score in cast iron this year, go ahead and tell us. Post right now what your scores have been for this year. Even if you made only one really good score, it's worth mentioning. So feel free to mention about it. Let's talk about it, shall we? What is the chicken dish we're making tonight, K Clock? This is coq au vin, Julia Child's coq au vin to be precise. It is chicken braised in wine. We prepared some chicken, seasoned it up with bacon, of course, and some thyme, and we've dumped a whole lot of wine into the pot, and it is now simmering in the wine. In about 20 more minutes, we are going to open the pot up and turn it over, and then simmer it again until it's done. And this is one of those vintage recipes that from France, yes, but again, it this produced an amazing. I said this already, but really, it was an amazing flavor, one that I really fell in love with. I've made this several times, and I'm glad to have an excuse to make it again. It's also very, very filling for the record, probably because of all the wine and everything. But yes, this is one of those dishes that will definitely fill you up and probably make you tired, in fact. So I have no doubt that after I have some of this at the New Year's, I'm going to be able to sleep when I actually go to bed tonight. Which I think might be another reason why this would indeed be a peasant dish. It is very, very filling. And I say peasant dish as a positive thing. It was developed just that. It was not developed by the aristocracy. It was developed by common folks, which, as you know, were often referred to as peasants, which was an insult, yes, and probably still is. But nonetheless, it's a dish that I am glad to have discovered and fallen in love. Plus 4K, I just got into collecting. Started last December until this December. 22 large skillets since then. Oh, yeah, somebody's got cast ironitis, that's for sure. Love Julia Child recipes and to honor her spirit with good food. My score of the year was the Sydney Hollowware round griddle I found in a barn floor and restored and now use all the time. Well, definitely congratulations on that, honey badger. Continue using that with pride. Really glad to hear about people making good scores like this. It actually makes me feel good reading about this. Anytime I resolved to do something for myself, it was a failure in the making. resolve to do something for someone else, yeah, you could always do that as well. So, I mean, heck, I mean, one of my, unfortunately, my close friend's daughter, I guess you could call her my girlfriend's daughter. She has had car problems, including she just got a flat last night and she needs to dig up $150 for car work, things like getting a new battery as well as replacing the tire on her car. And yeah, I will be over there and I'm going to help her out tomorrow, as at least as best as I can. So yes. Okay, let's see who else. My big score was a second fish fryer lid. Really nice. Are we talking about the grill cup, the lid that that they made for the BSNR fish fryer, or are we talking about the rare? They call it the turtle cover lid, the rare one that actually has, what is a has more of a rounded lid to it. I've seen photos of those, have not seen one of those in person yet. Dubs gave me a single notch lodge number 7 with only a raised W at the bottom. Very light. A joy to use. Just now well broken in. Bucket list score and free too. Well, there you go, William Herb. That free is definitely the best price you can pay. Just me and this husband that I run from on, on his off days. My great score of the year was my number 2 South African made poiki. Yes, congratulations on that, Rocket Caver. N Coyote 102 scored my first Griswold skillet and just picked up an SMS, a Southern Mystery skillet, a couple of days ago. Addiction has begun. Oh, yes, indeed. You, welcome, welcome. You are now one of us. Google gobble, one of us, one of us. We accept you, one of us. And who knows where it will go from there. Congratulations, everyone, on the vintage scores. Well, thank you very much, Ben Johnson. Here's hoping you've found a good score yourself, or if not, here's hoping you make a good score soon. I also scored 2 carbon steel pans on a Louis giveaway. Just now getting to them. I found Gary Dodson. I found a brand new 8-inch Logic Dix that was a short pour. The handle wasn't fully molded. I think I saw your picture of that. That's the one that had a gap in the handle, if I remember right. A mistake that made it out of the factory. It's a conversation piece. Love you more, William. I'm enjoying my surprises. Lord, that rub for my steaks. Oh, yeah, that all sounds good. Anybody who's making steak tomorrow, yes, I'm definitely jealous. But on the other hand, who knows? Maybe we'll make steak tomorrow. Maybe we will. I'm thinking now, what if maybe I managed to score some nice inexpensive chuck tomorrow? Maybe we'll make it work. Fuzz 48. I already had 2 Griswold, a 10 and a 7, 2 Wagner, a 6 and an 8, a Wagner Arc number 9 griddle, but I just used them not knowing their value. Well, continue to use them. That's the best thing to do. My biggest score is my Lancaster number 4 from Louis. Chuck steaks are my favorite. Yes, but yes, those of you, I am definitely in the camp that encourages folks to use their cast iron because I believe it keeps your cast iron in better condition than simply storing it away somewhere. Unless, of course, you make a mistake and drop it on the floor, but it happens to all of us, but here's hoping it doesn't happen. Other than that, yes, go ahead and continue to use your cast iron. Try not to warp it, as you know. Just make sure you never use it more than half to maybe 3/4 of the highest heat on your stove top, because that's really all we need with cast iron, so that there shouldn't be any chance of warping it in that way. Other than that, continue using it. Get some good seasoning on it, and you will have a pan that'll last forever. Whether it's Lodge or Griswold or an Ozark Trail from Walmart, just go ahead and use your cast iron. That's really the best thing that I would like everybody to pass on to everybody. Got a 9 Erie at Goodwill. That is quite a score, Mark Sieber. Salem's dogs are the best. Ooh, huh. I have an unmarked single notch with a W and the number 7 is missing. I bought a small chuck roast a couple of days ago and cooked it like steak. It was delicious. Yummy, yummy, Huggy Bear. Chuck, of course, does need to be tenderized, but and there is no way around it. Chuck is simply more chewy than like say a ribeye or the like. There's just no way around it. But when you tenderize it, it's not that chewy, and really the flavor of Chuck really can't be beat. I mean, if you're just talking flavor, I would say that Chuck definitely goes up around a ribeye as well. It's just that it is a little more chewy. Ben, just jump in whenever your family here. Yes, exactly. No, yeah, no need to be quiet here. I encourage everybody, as long as we're reasonably on topic and as long as we're not causing trouble, feel free to talk here. We encourage you folks to have fun, and that means having discussions about cast iron. You can talk about your cast iron, or you can talk about anybody else's cast iron. You can talk about my poor attempts at cooking here. You can make snarky comments about what I do in my kitchen. It's all here because we are all here to have fun. My magical wintry mystical whispers are in a candle water. Okay. The little hands I spanked this holiday was funny. I doused it with coarse sea salt, pepper, and paprika, wrapped it up, and sat in the fridge a couple of days. Ooh, yeah, that definitely tenderized it. Then I've no doubt about that. The only thing about dry brining a steak for a long time is you don't want it to get too salty a taste. So if you're talking a couple of days, that's not the same. I mean, if I'm going to do a steak for like about maybe I don't know like 3 or 4 hours, I would probably give it a really liberal coating of kosher salt. But if it's going to be a couple of days, I should probably do not so much. At least that's my opinion. Just don't forget your eggs for the pumpkin pie. Yes, exactly. There is that. We'll see what happens next year with pumpkin pie. That's for sure. And hello, Wasafat Maghribia. Oh, nice to see you here. Welcome to this chat. And if you would like to take part in our conversation, please do so. Mark, you have more than one more than a lot of us. Hello again. I'm keeping an eye on Wasafat Maghribia because unfortunately there have been instances of spammers in this chat, and I just hope this is not one of them. But yes, hello, and please feel free to introduce yourself, especially if you're here to talk about cast iron. I have forgotten ingredients too. Yes, I tend to forget ingredients all too often, that's for sure. Although I do my best. Usually it's because I'm not following the recipes the way I should. Do anyone else make a tomahawk steak like a regular steak because they don't like a reverse sear? Am I the only one? I have yet to make a tomahawk steak, unfortunately. One of those things on my bucket list. I have occasionally made some really thick steaks, though. And yes, the last couple of times I have just simply cooked it in the pan. Although, I mean, the reverse sear works great. Um, I have still sometimes just gone the traditional route and cooked the entire thing in the pan. The silly large pizza skillet I grabbed at Bucky's gets more use making pizza on the grill than I could have ever imagined. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Greg. Turns out to be one of my favorite pieces. And yeah, you never know, don't you? So I mean, well, that means you definitely got yourself a good score there. So hey, enjoy it and have fun and keep making pizza. I tend to walk right past ingredients while in the store. And yes, you and me both. But yeah, I mean, especially as we've already said, how the cost of everything has been going up. Pizza delivery is ridiculous these days. I mean, I simply try not to have pizza delivery anymore because I mean, really, the delivery fee usually doubles the cost of the pizza. I mean, we're talking like if you want to order from Domino's, I mean, it's rarely, if ever, less than $30, $30, and we're just talking like maybe two pizzas. So, those are all good reasons, of course, to just keep making pizza in cast iron. My large ROM was done in my Grinch pan. I would say I prefer the Alton Brown recipe with a sheet pan, but the seasoning of large ROM was banging. I'm missing this large ROM. I'm actually missing that. $4.50. Tomahawk steak. Oh yeah, I need to do one of those, and I need to do one of those. Yes. Maybe I'll use it as an excuse for something like Memorial Day, perhaps. Oh, recipe of month. That's what you meant. Recipe of the month. Okay, I missed that completely. Thank you for the correction. All right, we are getting close. Meanwhile, supposedly in about 5 more minutes, we get to go to the next step, and I think it's probably getting time to start preparing the egg noodles as well. Cover the pan. Okay. Oh yeah, definitely at this point. In fact, we are just about done here. All we need to do now is, in about 5 minutes, we're going to uncover the pan and then just let it continue simmering uncovered to thicken the sauce. And that's pretty much it. So we are definitely at the point where it is time to break out the Magnolite. So, where's this scratch from? All right, that means all we need to do is start boiling us up some water. I've gotten a lot of use out of this thing. This thing definitely does not look brand new anymore. I'm going to have to polish it up again at some point. However, let us get our water. Throw in some salt. Turn on the heat. And cover. Crap, did I? No, wait a second. Why am I seeing these mushrooms here? Gradually stir in the wine. Okay, add the cooked pork, tomato paste, boiled noodles. Oh, okay, good. I did not forget the mushrooms. The mushrooms come in last because I've got these I've got these mushrooms that I chopped up as for the recipe, and I was afraid that I might have forgotten that ingredient. But no, the mushrooms come in last. So okay. And hello, Rick Stumbow. Happy New Year's, Cast Iron family. Yes, exactly. The hubby just went to bed. Okay, I guess he couldn't make it, but again, there's nothing wrong with that. Apparently calling a nutcase nut job on know what's your take. All right. I only have 3 cast iron pans, large 8, 10, 12, and their chef collection. Well, we'll see what happens by this time next year, Huggy Bear. Huggy Bear? Yeah, that's right, Huggy Bear. We'll see what happens by then. All right. I love the finish aluminum gets after a Scotch-Brite pad. Yeah, the other thing I found out is that cooking tomatoes in aluminum does a great job of giving it a polish, or, a real polish or sheen, I should say, on the inside. I mean, I know people say not to cook tomatoes in aluminum. So far, I haven't had a problem with that. I have made sauce in tomato sauce or cooked with tomato sauce in this Magnolite Dutch oven several times, and it does actually a great job of removing that black stain on the inside. Fortunately, the black stain is not permanent. So, I mean, it's seems like especially when I do, like, say, potatoes and mashed potatoes, a lot of times it ends up with a black residue on the inside, but that can come off. It is not permanent. There's Mercy. Yes, exactly. Well, it is possible, of course, that some folks might be out celebrating the New Year, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. again, I am not demanding that anyone be here. And so thank you once again to everybody who has been kind enough to show up here tonight. All right. Now at this point, I do believe it is time again for us to uncover the large Dutch oven. Do this carefully. All right. Boy, I only have this down to a simmer, and look at this. Not too dark of a color either, but I like that. And yeah, this chicken is definitely changing color at this point. So I'd say we are doing not bad at all. Okay, let me check the recipe to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, this will cover and simmer for 30 minutes. At this point, uncover the pan and let it simmer another 15 to 20 minutes. That will reduce the cooking liquid to a thicker sauce. As the uncovered chicken is simmering while the sauce is thickening, prepare your egg noodles, which is exactly what we are doing. And then finally, when it's all done, that's when we add the mushrooms to the sauce, stir it in, and simmer for another 4 to 5 minutes to cook the mushrooms. Okay, good. So no, I haven't missed anything yet. As I said, all we're doing now is all we really need to do is let this simmer to thicken the sauce. All right. My drink of choice is usually coffee. Yes, exactly. I know that feeling. Celebrating, fancy word for drinking. Strangely enough, I mean, the only alcohol I'm using is the wine and brandy that we use for preparing this chicken here. I have not had a sip of anything in months. I've never really been that much of a drinker. So it's different for everyone, yes. Well, yeah, thank you very much, K Clock. Because yeah, it is true that I mean, when prepared, this chicken, I mean, this particular dish of coq au vin, in some instances, may not look very appetizing, especially when the sauce does thicken up. Hmm. Then it may look like something else other than chicken. Grab a loaf of crusty bread, and I'll pick you up to taste that. Hmm. But yeah, you all saw the preparations that went into this. It really wasn't that hard. And that's, again, one reason why I use cheap wine for cooking. There's no need to use expensive wine for this. I mean, again, all we really have here is just that chicken, some bacon, onions in here. Um, and as I mentioned, the wine. And that's pretty much it. In fact, Julia's recipe does not use the typical mirepoix that you see with coq au vin, like carrots and celery as well as the onions. She only uses just the onions, but it works. I mean, as I said, I've enjoyed this dish quite a few times. And also, we've got some staining here on the side of this enamel. And again, I'm positive that this will come off with very little difficulty. I've seen some coq au vin recipes with reds where the chicken meat ends up purple. Yeah, that I think we mentioned that a few minutes ago. That in some instances it's like it turns the chicken purple. But maybe because with this recipe there was actually a lot of liquid other than the wine. So the wine did mix in with it, and it's definitely adding color to it, but it's not turning purple. That might be the reason why. Julia's secret here in that wine is not really the only liquid we are using here. I mean, the chicken let out a lot of liquid, and while yes, it is true that it did not brown as well as some, at this point, I don't think that really matters. Um, but yes, I mean, so again, the wine mixed in with it, and as a result, we have more of a brownish color, although some parts of the chicken do have something of a purple color to them as well. Let me pick this up carefully. Try again. All right, let's try changing this around. There we go. Like for instance, here this definitely has almost like a purple color to it, but not really dark purple or deep purple. Anyway, all we are doing is simmering it while I am waiting for that water to boil. Never liked the taste, maybe a little wine, but I was like a sailor, beer. You know, Cynthia, there is actually a version of coq au vin that uses beer rather than wine. Look it up. It is coq au bière, biere, which of course is just French for beer. Essentially, you prepare it more in that manner rather than with the heavy red wine. So there's something maybe you might want to consider. The purple is the type of wine. Yes, I did specifically use a Pinot Noir, a red wine on this. If you choke a chicken, it'll turn purple right before your eyes. Well, we won't go down there, Fuzz Fork. Shot of whiskey in your coffee in the morning, and then you're good to go. Lemonade Kool-Aid. But yeah, it is true that the liquid is starting to reduce. You can see here all around the rim, the liquid level is slowly starting to go down. So it is actually working. However, as I mentioned, all I'm really looking for is for this to finally start boiling, which should be happening any moment or so. I mean, I got to trust this. I mean, I've said before that Magnolite is the world's best water boiler, or at least it is for me. And anyway, all I'm going to be doing is just preparing egg noodles. Let's see if need another dish. Oh yeah, that'll do. All right. Surprised the mushrooms are added so late. Usually they're sauteed in very early. Well, yes, actually, the recipe does call for it. It does suggest sauteing the mushrooms in advance, and I do admit I kind of skipped that step. But nonetheless, I'm not worried because it means all we'll really need to do is to braise the mushrooms. Maybe I'll even cover it again after the mushrooms go in. Meanwhile, it's almost 11:30 p.m. here on the East Coast. So for us here in this time zone, we have only a little bit more than half an hour till the new year. Yay! Purple Saurus Rex Kool-Aid. I'm wondering how whether or not this would appeal to kids. I mean, other than the fact that it's delicious. I mean, yeah, by telling kids you're making purple chicken, do you think that might appeal more or less to them? To be honest, I think especially in these days where kids live at McDonald's, it would probably appeal to them less. Buy more cast iron in 2025 to improve your health. On the other hand, if you prepare it in front of them, especially the flambe, and set it on fire, they might find it more attractive that way. Oh, and notice as well that I did not hesitate, by the way, using a flambe in this enamel Dutch oven. I'm not worried at all about that, and I have little doubt that once this pot is all cleaned up, should look once again as good as new. I don't believe there will be any permanent stains on this pot because of this. Bones a bigger issue for kids. Well, there is that too. Yeah, I grew up eating chicken off the bone, so I'm certainly used to it. And also, I'm using. Well, I actually cut up some leg quarters for use in this. In that, I use specifically the drumstick and the thigh part, and I don't use the center part of the leg quarter in this because that's the one that has all of the smaller bones. So there are bones in this, but they're large bones and very easy to take out. But yes, I used to have in my old life. I used to have a couple of nieces who were, I mean, their entire lives. Well, at least as I saw them growing up, up until they were like maybe about 8 or 9 years old. I never once saw them eating chicken off the bone. I think all I ever saw them eat were McDonald's and chicken nuggets and hot dogs and mac and cheese. That was just about all I ever saw them eat. Oh, good. The water is boiling. Good. So now I can get to a more pleasant subject. Sorry about the depressing part, folks. Anyway, whew, all right. Now here come the egg noodles. Try not to spill this bag, shall we? Yeah, I'll use the same thing that I stirred the chicken with. Why not? It's all going to go to the same place. And anyway, these are egg noodles, so it's not quite the same as pasta. Just make sure everything is all covered. And puts the lid back on, at least for a couple of minutes. All right, we always took the meat off the bones to freeze them for soup. Are you planning on adding different colored enamelware to your collection or stick to the red? I'm probably not going to be getting too much more enamel, if any, largely because enamel is very useful. I am not denying that, but I'm I don't believe it is absolutely essential, at least not in my kitchen. In that I do have several enamel pots in addition to these. I've got a smaller enamel Dutch oven that I got for Valentine's Day. I have an enameled cast iron casserole dish, and I have one enameled Le Creuset skillet, which was a score at Brimfield, in fact. And that is about all the enamelware I have. Oh, wait, no, how can I forget? Duh. I also have the huge stove 13 quart enamel Dutch oven. I can't forget that, which is much bigger even than this pot. All right. Okay, I recommend getting an enamel number 3. 13 quart, yes, indeed. Look on my channel, and you'll see there that when I actually, about 4 to 5 years ago, I got a 13 quart stove. Oh, this is starting to boil over. So, newsflash: egg noodles boil over too. But yes, it was a 13 quart enameled Dutch oven, and that was to replace my Le Creuset 13 quart enameled Dutch oven that had I had used faithfully and heavily for 9 years before it finally got to the point where I couldn't use it anymore. That was a story in itself, in that one of my very first cast iron scores, in fact, back in early 2011. At a flea market, I managed to find a huge enameled Dutch oven for $6, and it was a Le Creuset, but it was actually in beat up condition even from the day I got it, which is probably why they were selling it for $6. However, even despite that, I still managed to get 9 years of use out of it until finally the enamel was indeed beginning to chip. Then I really could no longer use it. And that's when I made the investment, my first Bitcoin investment, in fact, and got the stove Dutch oven to replace it, which I have been treating very, very tenderly. So even though it's been a few years now, that stove Dutch oven still looks almost as good as new, which means I hope to be able to use that for the rest of my life. Wonder if I should have used more water, in fact. I think this will be okay. Just gotta wait for it to reach al dente. Meanwhile, at this point, this is definitely thickening up here. Feeling something on the bottom here. I hope there isn't anything burned on the bottom. Well, if there is, it'll just be an adventure to clean it up. Nonetheless, we are definitely getting close to the point. And especially since there are now 26 minutes to go until the new year, I think that's good. We will definitely be done. Them Dutch ovens come in red, white, or blue. Yes, indeed. I think that's why they call it USA Enamel. I have 2 green enamel casserole and an orange monster Dutch oven. Enamelware is not for my lifestyle. I don't need to baby cast iron. And of course, everybody has their own preferences, Fuzz Fork. Enamel does have its own uses in that, you can make tomato sauces and other things in enamel. And yes, it's true, you can make that in bare cast iron as well. Although one thing I do like making in an enamel, and which will probably be a dish I make at some point soon, is my family recipe for vinegar chicken, heavy on the vinegar and tomato sauce. All right, I guess I should start testing these noodles because, again, these are egg noodles, not pasta. See what it's like here. Let's sample this. No, it definitely still has a ways to go yet. Maybe I should cover this. Meanwhile, over here on this end, I think it's probably time to add the mushrooms. That is really the last step. Might have gone overboard with the mushrooms, too. On the other hand, at least as far as I'm concerned, you can never have too many mushrooms. All right. Let's mix all of this in. Now all we have to do is, the chicken's definitely taking on something of a purple color. There's no denying that. However, again, it's not deep purple. I'm concerned that there's definitely something on the bottom of the pot. But I'm not seeing any sign of any burned residue here, even from the bottom. Well, we'll see what it's like when it all comes up. However, the chicken is definitely tender. There's no denying that as well. All right. I probably may have used too much mushrooms, except that I'll still be able to eat them. I have no doubt about that. Okay. Deep purple. Yes, exactly. Smoke on the water. I found 3 good bargains on used Le Creuset, a coquette, a saucepan, and a 3 to 4 size skillet. Nice grits and eggs. Oh, and I'm hoping you're getting a lot of use out of that too. Oh, great! This is starting to boil over again. All right. Where did my glove go? Here it is. Let's just keep stirring until it is done. Probably still should not take very long. And I'd say at this point, chances are they will both be done at the same time. In fact, I think I will put the lid back on here to make sure that those mushrooms are properly cooked. All right. Those mushies will shrink up and be just right. Yes, that's what I'm looking forward to. Never roasted my own coffee. Is it difficult? Yeah, I haven't roasted coffee beans yet myself either. Yet another on a long list of things that I want to do. My understanding is all you do is you just put them in a dry cast iron pan and just that. You continually stir them around like a roux until, well, they reach the right dark color. Of course, you don't want to burn them. And I suppose that's really the trick. Again, these egg noodles are looking softer already. Let me sample one more. See what it's like now. Okay, let's see. Much better. Oh yeah, those egg noodles are definitely getting close to done now. Much better. Okay, I wish to thank Lodge for all their patriotic and heritage skillets. Yes. Well, Lodge definitely knows how to cater to the collector's market. There's certainly no denying that. It's not an American number 4 Dubs, just about that size. Enamel, too. Okay, what did Corey say that was awesome here? I buy green beans on Amazon, heat up the pan in the grill, not in the house. They smoke a lot and stir constantly until they're how you like them. 20-minute countdown. Yes, indeed. That's true. And this should be done just in time for it, from the look of it. Corey Clark. I bought a hot tub today. Oh, yeah, I can. Oh, that's what you're saying. That was awesome. Sounds awesome. 6-quart and 7.5-quart Amazon commercial Dutch ovens. The important thing, of course, is let's make sure we get a lot of use out of all of these. And I just realized I forgot my colander for this for these egg noodles. Well, then I guess I'm going to have to fake it. All right. Oh, the wine is still uncovered. I better put the cork back on. So that means I've got to somehow get this thing off of here. Carefully. There it goes. Okay, so I was wrong. It's not a rubber cork. It's actually a cork. Well, actually, I'm still not so sure. I think this might indeed be a rubber cork. Regardless, it did what needed to be done. There we go. Okay. We don't need the deputy arrested from neighbor complaints. I like Manschwitz noodles. Good texture with yolks. Hope all my family lives to see the next year. I feel lucky to have so many people I love and care about. You and me both. I'm very worried about the next year, but again, we will discuss that another time. At this point, oh yeah, these noodles are looking better now. Or these mushrooms, I should say. Which means I do believe we may be done. Just turn this around one more time. And I do believe we have our coq au vin. I think the sauce might not be as thick as I expected. And I think we can get rid of this bay leaf too. There we go. Nonetheless. All right. So over here with the egg noodles, I guess I'll have to just drain them using the lid. And once we do that, I would have to say, I'm going to turn off the heat here too. We are done. 15 minutes ago, I'd say we are just in time, in fact. So, let's move this out over to here. I always make such a mess with my dishes here every time I do this. And once again, I do not want to accidentally step on these cords. That would not be good. So I better get out another glove. Here we go. All right. Don't want to spill these noodles either. Come on. Okay. At last. All right. There we are, folks. Thank you very much for your time, as it took all this time to make this dish. But again, I'm gotta be careful with this cords. We have Julia Child's coq au vin and egg noodles, which means now at long last, time to serve. It's out of the way here now. All right. Don't spill the noodles, or it looks like we didn't, fortunately. So far, so good. All right, that means I can move this microphone back over towards here. Now the plate. Make sure this mic is out of the way. There we are. And one more time, the last time, I hope. A bit of a close-up. All right, at long last. Let's dig out a trivet here, shall we? Also, let's move the mouse out of the way. First up, the noodles. And I guess I'll have to use this scoop carefully. Actually, not just the scoop. Let's do it like a salad. Now we can move this back. And then comes the star of the show. At long last, here comes our coq au vin. Don't worry, I'll move this out of the way so that we'll have a good shot of the plate. Careful, I don't want to spill this. All right, I'm telling myself to be careful. There goes a mushroom. Yeah, I'll deal with that later. Here goes another mushroom. How nice. Here we are. this out of the way so that I don't accidentally push it over or knock it over or anything. And with that, with 11 minutes to go before midnight in the new year, we have it. Julia Child's coq au vin, made in a large cast iron USA enamel Dutch oven. Not a bad way to celebrate the new year, if I may say so. Not going to stuff my face, although I don't want to waste this mushroom over here. Come on, there we are. However, I have to get at least one little bit. Then from here, let's try just a little bit of this chicken, shall we? There we go. See, the chicken comes right apart, even if it's not falling off the bone. And hot, hot, hot. Oh, like I said, I fell in love with this dish. There we are, folks. Definitely say Happy New Year. 2024 was so strange. You and me both. I believe you me. Some real highs and some definite lows, including some lows that I consider to be honestly frightening. And 2025, we will be seeing the consequences of that. But as I said, I'm not going to get into that subject right now. Maybe tomorrow, but not now. Okay. Right now, we are just here to finally see the end of this tumultuous year and move into what may be an even more tumultuous year. Tumultuous, boy, that's a fancy word. Nonetheless, if you find a sauce pot without a lid, literally got it covered. Oh, nice. I think everyone will be fine. I can only hope so. But as I said, we'll discuss that another time. Nonetheless, there we are. And thank you very much to everybody who's been kind enough to watch, to be here all this time as well. We've spent all this time here as the minutes now count down towards midnight. Inflation has caused me to wash my plastic silverware for reuse. Yes, I understand where you're coming from here. And thank you as well to Val's Black Cat's Rules, too, for coming into for joining us in my kitchen here tonight. And I'm glad to be rid of 2024. Happy New Year to all. Exactly, Clico. The least we can do is wish everybody a Happy New Year, and we brace ourselves for what may come next. And I have to say, this chicken dish is not a bad way to end the year, though. I mean, hey, it's chicken, it's cheap, it's affordable, and none of this was really that expensive. I used cheap wine, egg noodles, the chicken, and mushrooms. And I have no complaints with how this has turned out. Oh, yeah. Oh, I definitely tasted it in that one, too. Maybe one or two of these mushrooms. Well, this is going to satisfy me for the new year, definitely. Salt celery made with some Maldon included. Clico, Happy New Year. Hope you have a wonderful 2025. And yes, I can definitely say that to everyone as well. Keep it in your knickers. Well, that's a subject for another time as well. I'll pour some rum, light a stogie, and wish you all a Happy New Year. Exactly to all of you. And thank you very much to everybody. 6 minutes to go. So that means we really only have a few more I'll be calling it a night for this video anyway. I guess after once we hit midnight. Although I've got some eating to do, and I certainly have no complaints about that, which is also not bad. I'll definitely go to bed on a full stomach, which again it'll help me sleep. And likewise to you too, Rodney Parks. Thank you as well to everybody for being here. And also thank you to everybody for enjoying, well, for hopefully enjoying this channel over the last year. I mean, I do my best. I think my video production seems to maybe have not been as active over the last few months as it was up until that point, and partly because I've gotten so involved here with with my new family and friends, which take up a whole lot of time and money. But I guess that's the way things going. However, have no intention to stop cooking in cast iron and as well as to stop making these videos because they definitely encouraged me to just that, to relax and have some fun. That's why, as I said, the last thunder and fireworks here in New York City, we have neither here. We had a little bit of rain and the streets seem to be a little wet, but that's about it. So things are not so bad right here. You're supposed to eat right before you're not supposed to eat right before bed. Well, there is that, Corey Clark. So I guess I'm going to be kind of breaking the rule there. Although on the other hand, I could probably be up for like maybe another hour or so at least. So 8 or 9 years, really, it's really been that long. Oh man. Yes, the Finex. And I celebrated the 10th anniversary of that Finex cast iron skillet only a few days ago. So, and it's yet another one piece of my collection that I'm proud of. And I can only hope that you folks here will have pieces in your collection that you'll still be using 10, 20, or 50 years from now, as well as passing on to your kids. We are now down to 4 minutes to go. And yeah, this is the time when I start getting nostalgic and I think of things like how I inherited some of these some of these cast iron pans from my parents who have sadly passed on, as happens to all of us. But we have their memories, and I'm glad at least that I'm using mom's cast iron in my kitchen still. And also my grandmother's cast iron too, even if it was only one piece. I've only been here for a year. Well, thank you very much as well to Fuzz Fork and Cynthia Wesley. Pray for prosperity, long life, and happiness for the cast iron family, and many more gatherings on lives. Yes, that's certainly what I hope to do. Should mention time zones. I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, so I still got an hour to figure out how to end this year. Well, you might want to do some cooking, just as a suggestion. I mean, in an hour, you could make yourself some cornbread, for instance. Some pedantic jackass should get mentioned time zone. Oh, that's what you're talking about. 2025 will be a curiosity, I think. Yes, indeed. We could definitely say that. I'm bracing myself to do my best to survive the next year and especially hope that my closest friends survive it. But until then, we are just going to enjoy the next 2 minutes. We're at the 2 minute countdown here. It is 11:58 p.m. here on in Eastern time, at least in 2000 December 31st, 2024. We're down to 2 minutes to go here. Sit back and cook in cast iron. As I said, for those of you who have an hour to go yet, maybe make yourself a cornbread. Why not? It'll give you something to do, and again, you'll be able to celebrate by munching on cornbread, which is not a bad way to end the new year, especially since cornbread is part, of course, of the Hoppin' John that a lot of people are going to be making tomorrow. Our black-eyed peas, ham hocks, collard greens, and cornbread. So there's something to consider as well. 1 minute to go. One more hour. Well, for here, it's definitely 1 minute. And I'm very much looking forward to that because, yay, good riddance to 2024. And again, here's a good 2025 to all of you. I wonder if I could actually see the countdown of the seconds here on this. It is not showing the countdown of the seconds, I'm sorry to say. So all I can do is wait and see when the clock ends. I've got 15 cats. Oh man, good luck with that fuzz fork. 8. All ABC has it. Well, yeah, okay. Well, nonetheless, either way, we only have a few seconds to go. So again, thank you very much to everybody for being here on this channel, not just this year, but really. And there it is. And the fireworks are going off here as well. Here it is. It's midnight. Happy New Year, everyone. And thank you very much for being here. Yes, indeed. They are shooting off fireworks all over the neighborhood here. Me, I've got some chicken to enjoy. That's not a bad way to ring in the new year either. 2024, I'll miss you. Looking forward to this time this year. Out with the old and in with the new. Congratulations to everybody who has survived. And let's hope we can all survive for the next year. Happy and healthy New Year, everyone. Yes, thank you very much to Dano and Fuzz Fork 8 and Val's Black Cats Rules. Thank you for being here in my kitchen. And there is always tomorrow night, too, when we're going to be having Cast Iron Wednesday. And Happy New Year to William Hurt and Honey Badger and Huggy Bear, Clico, and Fuzz Fork 8 and everybody else. Thank you very much for being here tonight as we wrap this up and allow you folks to enjoy your new year, whether or not it has arrived or whether it's still going to arrive in the next hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours. Happy New Year to Corey Clark and Cynthia Wesley. Oh yeah, guns will be going off here. Well, my condolences there, Cynthia. Just be careful and be safe, everybody. But yes, it's time to move on now. So thank you very much to everybody, and thank you for being here. Once again, we will be seeing you again tomorrow night on Cast Iron Wednesday. So thank you, everybody, and have a good evening, and Happy New Year.